When people first meet an INFJ, there's often a quiet curiosity that lingers in the air. Something about their presence feels different, even before a single word is exchanged. Many describe an initial sense of calm or warmth, as if the INFJ carries an invisible aura that is both soothing and slightly enigmatic. Their energy doesn't demand attention, but it naturally draws people in. This is because INFJs tend to observe more than they speak at first, taking in subtle details, the way someone moves, the tone of their voice, or the emotion hiding behind their smile. The first thing many people notice is their eyes. INFJ eyes often feel piercing yet gentle, carrying a depth that makes others feel seen without words. There's an intensity in the way they look at someone, as if they can see beyond the surface and quietly understand things that aren't being said. For some, this is disarming, like standing in front of someone who knows the unspoken parts of you. For others, it is comforting because it feels like genuine acceptance. If you're an INFJ who needs clarity, alignment, and a deeper connection with your true self, ensure to check out our INFJ Playbook. Inside, you'll find guided journal prompts, a checklist, a workbook, and everything you need to reconnect with your true self. The link is in the description of this video. Their demeanor often strikes people as thoughtful and grounded. Even in a crowded or chaotic environment, an INFJ has a way of feeling centered, almost as if they exist just slightly outside the noise. They tend to move with purpose, not necessarily in a hurried or forceful way, but with an intentional quietness that makes their actions feel deliberate. People often sense they are deeply aware of their surroundings without being intrusive, giving the impression of someone who notices everything, yet doesn't broadcast it. Conversation with an INFJ also leaves a strong impression on new acquaintances. At first, they may seem reserved, choosing their words carefully rather than filling the air with small talk. But when they do speak, their words carry weight. There's often a sense of sincerity in their tone that makes people feel as though they are being truly listened to, not just heard. Many leave their first interaction thinking, "This person understands me in a way I can't explain." INFJs have a way of making people feel important because they naturally focus on the emotional undercurrents of a conversation rather than just the superficial content. Another thing that stands out is their subtle emotional intelligence. Even before they know someone well, they often respond with the kind of empathy that feels tailored to the person in front of them. People might notice that the INFJ somehow picks up on moods without any obvious cues. If someone is anxious, the INFJ softens their voice. If someone is excited, the INFJ mirrors that energy in a way that feels natural rather than performative. This ability to read the room often leaves a lasting impression, even if the person can't pinpoint why they felt so comfortable so quickly. Appearance and body language also play a part in what people first notice. INFJs rarely feel the need to be flashy or loud in presentation, yet there's usually something about their style that feels quietly distinctive. It may be the softness of their expressions, the natural alignment of their movements, or the fact that they seem fully present in the moment. Their body language is often open but not imposing, inviting connection without pressuring anyone to engage. One of the things people notice, even if they can't name it, is the way an INFJ seems to move between worlds, the external and the internal. On the outside, they may be calm and approachable, giving polite smiles or nods in conversation. But beneath that composed exterior, there's a subtle pulse of thought and feeling that radiates in ways most people can only sense. It can feel as though they are simultaneously here with you and somewhere else entirely, observing life from a deeper layer. This dual presence often intrigues others, creating an immediate sense of mystery. People also sense an unusual authenticity. In a world where many wear masks in social interactions, INFJs tend to show a kind of quiet realness that stands out. They don't force it, and they don't overcompensate. Instead, there's an ease to their presence that says, "I am who I am," without arrogance or pretense. This authenticity draws people in because it makes them feel safe to be themselves, even in those first moments of meeting. Another subtle but powerful thing people notice is the way INFJs seem to listen without judgment. Even if they aren't speaking much at first, their attention feels like a soft light. People often find themselves sharing more than they intended because the INFJ's listening presence feels almost magnetic. They don't just listen to words. They listen to pauses, hesitations, and the unspoken emotions beneath a sentence. This makes the other person feel profoundly understood, as if the INFJ can catch thoughts and feelings that usually go unnoticed. Many people walk away from their first encounter with an INFJ feeling lighter, even if the conversation was simple. There's a subtle healing quality to being in their presence because they naturally absorb the emotional atmosphere around them and respond in a way that eases tension. They are not trying to fix or control anyone's emotions, but their empathy is palpable. Sometimes, people who are normally guarded feel disarmed, as though the INFJ silently gave them permission to exhale and lower their defenses. Yet, alongside this warmth and empathy, there's always a veil of privacy that people can sense. Even as the INFJ makes others feel seen, there is the unmistakable feeling that a part of them remains tucked away, untouchable. People notice that while they may feel deeply known by the INFJ, they know very little about the INFJ in return. This paradox, being both open and closed, intimate yet reserved, is often what leaves such a lasting impression. Some also pick up on an almost otherworldly or old soul quality. It may not be something they can define, but there's a sense that the INFJ has witnessed life in a way others haven't. Their words carry wisdom even in casual conversations, and their silences carry a weight that makes others feel they are sitting with someone who understands life beyond the surface. For many, that first encounter feels less like meeting a stranger and more like reconnecting with someone they've known for a long time. The longer a first meeting lasts, the more people notice the INFJ's quiet adaptability. Without drawing attention to themselves, they subtly shift to match the rhythm of the person they're with, offering lightness to someone who is shy, calm to someone who is anxious, and thoughtful engagement to someone who craves to be understood. This gentle mirroring is never manipulative. It's simply the INFJ's natural way of harmonizing with the emotional frequency of the moment. One of the most profound things people subconsciously pick up on when they first meet INFJs is the emotional gravity INFJs carry. Even when they're smiling politely or engaging in small talk, there's a weight behind their presence that suggests depth. It feels like standing near a still, deep lake. You sense there's a world beneath the surface, even if you can't see it. People often leave feeling like they've touched something rare, even in the simplest of exchanges. Another thing people feel is the INFJ's attunement. Without consciously realizing it, most people respond to the way an INFJ seems to notice the tiny details others miss. It might be the way they slightly tilt their head when someone is talking, as if they're truly absorbing the meaning behind the words, or the way they mirror someone's mood with subtle empathy, not by pretending to understand, but by silently saying, "I see you." This unspoken validation leaves people feeling special, sometimes even cared for, after the very first meeting. There's also a quiet contrast in an INFJ that intrigues people. On the outside, they often appear calm, soft-spoken, or reserved. But beneath that stillness is a spark of intensity, an invisible fire that people can't quite place. It shows in fleeting ways. The sudden passion in their eyes when a meaningful topic arises, the hint of dry humor in an otherwise gentle conversation, or the way they seem to be measuring the world with an invisible ruler of intuition. This blend of serenity and inner intensity is what makes strangers walk away wondering, who is that person, really? People also sense the safety an INFJ provides, even in fleeting moments. There is something disarming about meeting someone who doesn't radiate judgment or competition. The INFJ isn't trying to outshine or overpower. Their energy feels like a quiet shelter. This is why people often find themselves opening up about things they rarely share, even when logic tells them they shouldn't. Something in the INFJ's presence whispers, "You are safe here. I will not misuse your vulnerability." At the same time, people notice an untouchable quality about them. While the INFJ can make others feel profoundly seen, they themselves remain partly hidden. It's like meeting someone who lets you step into their garden, but never quite opens the door to the house. This paradox, being warmly present yet partially out of reach, is part of what makes them unforgettable. Even body language and subtle habits leave a mark. INFJs rarely seem scattered. Their movements are often intentional, their posture carrying a quiet confidence without arrogance. They might tuck a strand of hair behind their ear while listening intently, lean slightly forward to show interest, or smile softly in a way that feels private yet genuine. These subtle gestures make the other person feel like they are in a moment that matters, even if nothing particularly extraordinary is happening. What makes all of this so powerful is that the INFJ rarely tries to create this effect. They don't consciously perform or craft their aura. It's the natural result of being deeply intuitive, empathetic, and inwardly rich. People simply feel it, and that first meeting becomes an imprint, an experience that blends warmth, curiosity, and the subtle awareness that there's so much more to discover beneath the surface. When someone meets an INFJ for the first time, the memory of that encounter often lingers in ways they can't fully explain. Days later, they may catch themselves thinking about that quiet smile, the way they felt truly seen for a fleeting moment, or the sense of calm that settled over them without warning. This lingering effect is not accidental. It is the natural imprint of an INFJ's energy, which touches both the conscious and subconscious mind of those they meet. One reason people can't easily forget an INFJ is the emotional resonance they create. Most social interactions skim the surface, moving through polite words and predictable exchanges. But an INFJ has a way of bypassing the surface and speaking, sometimes without words, to the part of a person that craves to be recognized. Even in a short conversation, they might ask a question that feels unusually thoughtful, or they might respond with a warmth that strikes straight to the heart. This creates a small but powerful emotional impact, one that keeps replaying in memory because it felt different. Another reason they stay in someone's thoughts is the contrast they embody. They are often approachable yet mysterious, warm yet reserved, present yet slightly distant. People sense this duality immediately, even if they can't articulate it. It feels like standing in sunlight with a hint of shadow nearby. You feel comforted but curious. Humans are naturally drawn to mystery, and an INFJ's energy whispers of untold layers, leaving people wanting to understand more. This is why someone may meet dozens of people in a day, but only remember the INFJ vividly. Their aura is a puzzle that quietly invites exploration. The empathy of an INFJ also leaves a subtle mark. People rarely forget the way it feels to be listened to without judgment or interruption. When someone meets an INFJ, they often sense that they are being heard, not just for what they say, but for what they mean. It is this rare and profound listening that makes others feel special and, for a moment, profoundly accepted. Even if the INFJ doesn't share much about themselves, the emotional gift of feeling understood is unforgettable. There's also a soul-deep familiarity that people feel around INFJs, which explains why they often say, "It felt like I'd known them for years." This is because INFJs have an intuitive ability to meet people where they are emotionally, speaking to the self that exists beneath social masks. The encounter awakens a sense of recognition, even if they are total strangers. It's why people sometimes walk away slightly dazed, unable to articulate what just happened, only knowing that the experience felt profound in its simplicity. Then there is the energetic afterglow of an INFJ encounter. Some people leave feeling lighter, as if a small burden has been lifted. Others leave with a spark of curiosity or inspiration, feeling that something about the conversation or the person awakened a part of themselves they didn't know needed attention. This impact doesn't always come from anything dramatic. Sometimes it's just the INFJ's quiet way of existing with authenticity and presence that imprints itself in memory. But perhaps the strongest reason people remember an INFJ is because of the invitation they leave behind. They rarely open themselves fully to new acquaintances, and this subtle withholding creates an unspoken curiosity. People are left wondering, who are they really? That open question lingers, echoing long after the meeting, pulling their thoughts back to that moment. There's an almost magnetic quality to INFJs that people feel the moment they meet them, a quiet pull that draws others in without effort or intention. It isn't loud or attention-seeking. It's the kind of subtle gravity that makes someone lean closer, stay in the conversation longer than they planned, or find themselves thinking about that brief encounter hours or even days later. One of the strongest aspects of this pull comes from the unspoken safety they radiate. People can sense, almost instinctively, that an INFJ is not there to harm, judge, or compete. There's a softness in their presence that allows people to lower their guard. Someone who normally keeps their walls up might suddenly find themselves sharing personal experiences without quite knowing why. This instant trust happens because INFJs have a way of meeting people without ego. Their attention feels clean, free of hidden agendas, and deeply present. It makes strangers feel both important and protected in a way that is rare. Another part of their magnetism is the mystery they carry. People notice quickly that even when an INFJ engages warmly, a part of them remains just beyond reach. They might offer gentle smiles, meaningful responses, or profound observations, but there is always an inner layer that stays tucked away. This unspoken privacy intrigues people because it hints at depth and complexity. Humans are naturally drawn to what they can't fully see or understand, and an INFJ embodies that perfectly, a blend of intimacy and distance that makes people want to know more. Then there's the resonance of their empathy, which feels different from casual kindness. While many people can be nice or polite, an INFJ's attention seems to tune into a person's inner frequency. It's as though they are listening with their entire being, not just their ears. When someone feels that level of emotional recognition, it triggers a unique form of fascination. They may not consciously think, "This person understands me," but they will feel it in their chest. It creates a subtle emotional bond, even in a single meeting, which lingers in memory long after the words have faded. INFJs also leave an impression through energetic alignment. Their natural ability to match the moment is magnetic because it makes interactions feel effortless. If the other person is nervous, the INFJ's calm will settle the atmosphere. If the person is excited, the INFJ will mirror that energy without overpowering it. This gentle adaptability makes people feel seen and accepted as they are, which can be almost addictive for those who rarely experience it. Physical presence also contributes to their subtle pull. Even in stillness, an INFJ carries a sense of awareness, as if they are quietly taking in the room and the emotions within it. People feel this on a subconscious level. Their steady gaze, soft yet observant, can make someone feel like they are the only person in the world in that moment. And because true, undivided attention is so rare in everyday interactions, it naturally creates a magnetic effect. Perhaps the deepest reason people feel this pull is because an INFJ awakens something in them. There is a sense of being touched on a level that isn't entirely conscious, like a mirror was held up to their soul, if only for a moment. It is subtle but profound. People walk away with questions. Why did I feel so comfortable with them? Why do I want to talk to them again? Why do I feel like they know something I don't? After the first meeting with an INFJ, people often begin to notice how different the interaction felt compared to most encounters. There's a subtle aftertaste of authenticity that refuses to fade. They might recall the INFJ's calm energy, the way their presence felt grounded yet alive, and realize how rare it is to meet someone who doesn't seem to be performing or rushing to impress. It's as if the INFJ left behind an echo of stillness, a pocket of peace that quietly travels with a memory of them. This is also when the mystery of the INFJ starts to bloom in a person's mind. They remember the warmth and attentiveness, but also the quiet reserve, that feeling of having only glimpsed the edges of who the INFJ truly is. It makes them wonder what lies beyond that initial layer of kindness and composure. People begin to sense there's a whole inner world there, a rich, intricate landscape of thoughts, feelings, and experiences that they haven't yet touched. That sense of depth is magnetic because it promises more to discover, and humans are drawn to mystery that feels safe rather than threatening. As time passes, the memory of that first meeting can take on an almost cinematic quality in the mind. A glance, a tone of voice, or a small moment of connection replays with clarity, and people often realize they felt unusually seen. It isn't about what the INFJ said, but how they made them feel, as though someone had paused the noise of the world just long enough to notice the essence of who they are. That feeling plants a subtle attachment, People crave more of that rare recognition. When encounters continue beyond the first meeting, this fascination deepens into a quiet desire to earn the INFJ's inner trust. People sense that while the INFJ is kind and open-hearted, there is a sacred core they don't reveal to just anyone. This selective intimacy is powerful because it makes people feel that gaining the INFJ's confidence is both a privilege and a rare experience. Those who continue to interact with them often become hyper-aware of the small ways an INFJ opens up: an unguarded laugh, a personal story, a spark of passion when speaking about something meaningful. These moments feel like uncovering a hidden treasure because they confirm the intuition that the INFJ's inner world is vast and luminous. There's also a subtle emotional imprint that grows after the first meeting. People often feel calmer, more reflective, or even inspired simply from having been in their presence. The INFJ's empathy and grounded energy can linger like a scent or a song you can't shake, influencing moods and thoughts long after the interaction. For some, this is what triggers a lasting curiosity or even a sense of awe. They realize that a single conversation left a permanent, albeit soft, mark on them. Over time, the fascination can evolve into a sense of bonded resonance. People start to associate the INFJ with safety, insight, and emotional clarity. Even casual acquaintances may find themselves looking forward to the next interaction, wondering what it is about this quiet, soulful person that makes the world feel a little lighter and deeper at the same time. It's not about charisma in the traditional sense. It's about energetic intimacy. The INFJ's presence resonates with a person's inner self, and that is an experience they want to return to. This is why many first encounters with an INFJ become quietly unforgettable. If you're an INFJ who needs clarity, alignment, and a deeper connection with your true self, ensure to check out our INFJ Playbook. Inside, you'll find guided journal prompts, a checklist, a workbook, and everything you need to reconnect with your true self. The link is in the description of this video.